Hello and welcome to Vietnam Connection Weekly, your trusted source for insightful updates on Vietnam's economy, politics, and society. Here are this week's top stories that are shaping Vietnam's trajectory on the global stage. Stick around to find out how you can legally avoid paying income tax in Vietnam and to hear about how a Vietnamese tycoon woman who stole 12.5 billion US dollars from a bank just managed to escape her death sentence. First stop. The clock is ticking for Vietnam to seal tariff deal with U.S. At the World Economic Forum in Tianjin this week, Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh voiced optimism that a trade agreement with the United States could be reached before the July 9th expiration of a temporary tariff suspension. The Prime Minister said, "Vietnam and the U.S. share a deep understanding on tariffs. I hope that all the positive things will come for us." On the other hand, Team Trump says it's close to announcing a handful of trade deals with Vietnam, in addition to Japan and South Korea. The U.S. has submitted a tough list of trade demands, including pressure on Vietnam to reduce Chinese tech and goods exported to America. Hanoi, in turn, is offering to expand imports of American goods such as aircraft, agricultural produce, and LNG. Vietnam's trade surplus with the U.S. surged to $12.2 billion in May, a 42% jump year-on-year. This underscores Vietnam's role as a key player in global supply chain realignment. Since Vietnam is the seventh largest trade partner of the U.S., the impetus behind the deal with Vietnam is that it could be a place where U.S. businesses set up if they leave China. Now, from trade diplomacy to tech diplomacy, Vietnam is also investing heavily in the future of artificial intelligence. Vietnam has launched a bold new policy, planned to attract 100 top experts from within and outside the country to participate in key national science and technology tasks in artificial intelligence. Backed by a USD $2.95 billion minimum budget, the plan reflects Vietnam's bid to become a regional AI leader. It also aligns with broader legal reforms, including new laws on science, tech, digital transformation, and innovation. And while Vietnam makes bold moves in AI, it's also stepping up its game in the world of digital assets. 2 weeks ago, we reported that the country's National Assembly passed a comprehensive law on the digital technology industry, legalizing the use of cryptocurrency. This week, the Parliament has requested prompt establishment of legal frameworks to pilot a crypto asset market in Vietnam, because there is currently no specific legal framework governing the management of such assets, especially regarding transaction processes, ownership transfer, or tax obligations. The Ministry of Finance and the State Bank of Vietnam are studying and drafting related regulations. Data released by the Vietnam Blockchain Association in August 2024 showed that between 2021 and 2022, Vietnam ranked in the top 3 globally for the percentage of the population owning digital assets, 21% of total population. Vietnam ranked 3rd in the world for cryptocurrency gains in 2023, only after the US and the UK, with nearly $1.2 billion, according to US blockchain analysis firm Chainalysis. With crypto now legalized and a framework on the way, Vietnam is sending a strong signal to blockchain developers and digital investors. Combined with its push in AI and digital governance, the country is fast becoming a serious fintech contender. Speaking of fintech, let's turn to a major update on Vietnam's bold plan to build a global financial powerhouse. Vietnam's plan to launch an International Financial Center, IFC, took a leap forward as the National Assembly passed a sweeping package of incentives and legal mechanisms. The aim is to develop it into one of the world's top 20 IFCs by 2045. Vietnam's IFC will span 2 cities, Ho Chi Minh City in the south and Da Nang City on the central coast. IFC Ho Chi Minh City will focus on capital, money and commodity markets, banking, fintech, specialized exchanges. IFC Da Nang will focus on sustainable and green finance, fintech, digital financial services and assets. The new policies allow IFC members to borrow and transact in foreign currencies, be granted tax holidays on corporate income as well as on personal income, enjoy up to 30 years of tax breaks. For instance, new investment projects in the IFC's priority sectors could enjoy a preferential corporate income tax rate of 10% for 30 years, with a tax exemption for up to 4 years and a 50% tax reduction for the following 9 years. In addition, they may be eligible for land lease terms of up to 70 years and receive priority allocation of state sites for their developments. Both Vietnamese and foreign experts working in the IFC will be exempt from income tax until the end of 2030. Disputes in the IFC can be resolved under Vietnamese law or through either domestic or foreign arbitrators and courts. This builds on last week's segment about Da Nang's FTZ. Vietnam is doubling down on becoming a regional financial and investment magnet. With Vietnam having one of the cheapest living costs in the world, your tax-free income dollars can go very far there. But not all headlines this week are cause for celebration. Another food safety scandal has shaken public trust nationwide. In a startling discovery, authorities found that Not Min Food Production Company had unscrupulously imported seed oil meant for animal feed, rebranding it as a food to pass it off as cooking oil. The mislabeling scam has reportedly led to the sale of tens of thousands of tons of this fake cooking oil, predominantly to industrial kitchens, restaurants, and food processing units. Tens of thousands of tons may have entered the food supply chain. The fake oil syndicate used underground pipelines to pump the oil from tanks into containers labeled for human consumption to cover their tracks. They also advertised the oil as enriched with vitamin A, a claim debunked by lab tests. In response, Vietnam's industry agency announced plans to conduct thorough inspections at oil production facilities, particularly focusing on smaller establishments that may lack adequate safety certification. Our last story of the week is a lifesaver, literally. How a billionaire fraudster escapes execution. From death row to life, billionaire tycoon spared by last-minute legal shift. One of Vietnam's biggest scandals this past year has been about Truong My Lan, the real estate tycoon behind Vietnam's largest ever financial fraud. As the chairwoman of Van Thin Phat Holdings, she orchestrated a scheme to embezzle over $12.5 billion from Saigon Commercial Bank, SCB. Prosecutors stated that the total damages caused by the scam amounted to $27 billion, which is equivalent to approximately 6% of Vietnam's 2023 GDP. Though she owned just 5% of the bank on paper, courts ruled she effectively controlled over 90% of the bank via proxies companies. Tens of thousands of investors lost their savings, sparking rare public protests. She was sentenced to death earlier this year. However, this week, Vietnam's National Assembly has officially abolished the death penalty for 8 major crimes, a decision that will take effect starting July 1. Among the offenses no longer punishable by death, embezzlement of property, bribery, espionage acts aimed at overthrowing the government, instigating invasive war, undermining peace, manufacturing counterfeit medicine, deliberate destruction of state property. Lan's lawyer confirmed this week that her sentence will be commuted to life imprisonment, pending asset recovery. Courts have said she may qualify for further reductions if she returns 75% of the stolen funds. She is reportedly working with authorities to recover assets and restructure Saigon Commercial Bank. Officials say this shift in punishment aligns with evolving economic and legal standards. This sweeping reform signals a significant recalibration of Vietnam's criminal justice system and a move toward more rehabilitative sentencing. That's it for this week's Vietnam Connection. If you found today's updates informative, hit like and subscribe, or drop us a comment. Your feedback helps us bring you sharper, smarter stories each week. See you next time.